Shalom, this is Mary Omni from the World Government House of King David, Holy Covenant Constitutional Enforcer. This is a Republic moment of Judaic history, and the title of this is American Blacks Remembering Their Bat Mitzvahs and Bar Mitzvahs. American Blacks remembering their Bat Mitzvahs and Bar Mitzvahs. Bat Mitzvah, daughter of the commandment. Bar Mitzvah, son of the commandment. Now, I don't know a lot. I'm just learning, just like a lot of us. But what I'm trying to do is I'm really focusing on the kingdom and our constitutionality. See, until we focus on our constitutionality and what the blood was spilled for, we really not moving. Though our information may increase, our wisdom and knowledge is not, because we cannot apply what we understand about where we are now. So it's good to begin to understand some things, but if you don't understand where you are now in history and time and space and the blood that was shed in the document called the Constitution that was left to us, then you're lacking a whole lot of wisdom. And no matter how much information you get, no matter how many languages you learn, no matter what you learn about yourself as being Hebrew Israelites, you have no application to noun and the document that was left you. So you're lacking wisdom and you're lacking forward thinking for the new kingdom millennium because you're canceling too much blood. You can't cancel blood and then have wisdom. You just can't. Okay? And the Constitution was forged with 300 and 400 years of your modern black ancestry, Judaic blood in North America. So if you think you can skip over this, then admit to your MK altering and admit to your mind control and your mind and mental capacity or incapacitation, which is a limited capacity. So American blacks remembering their bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs is an exercise that we need to do now, that each person needs to take a journey to do, regardless of their age. If they are, well, really, they would have to be probably over 14. And after that, the sky's the limit. You can be from 14 to 60, 70 and 80, 90, or whatever. If you have your memory intact, then you can remember your bat mitzvah and your bar mitzvah. Now, fortunately, our divine creator in his wisdom leaves us with what we call corridors of the brain. So we have the vault in our brain that can recall things in our life so that when we look back, we can look back at where we were and how it affects where we are now. And that's true for the bar mitzvah and the bat mitzvah. Now, the bat mitzvah is the girls coming of age, and that usually occurs between the ages of 11, 12, and 13. Ideal age is 12, because that's between 11 and 13 for girls. Usually at this age, or by the time of this age, her menstrual cycle has started. So she remembers that as part of her coming of age and into womanhood. Now, is other things you can remember. What was going on when you turned 12 or 13? What was the happy point in your life? What do you remember about being 12 or 13? What do you remember about the school you were in, the boy you liked, the song you liked, the dance you did, the clothes you wore, the relationship with your mother, the relationship with your father, the relationship with your siblings, your sexuality. Was you still a virgin? Did you lose it by, some beast taking advantage of you? Did you become pregnant at 12? Now, we would like to say that a bat mitzvah is about pleasant things always. But for American blacks, under a system of hijacking and oppression to hijack our constitutionality and our Judaic identity so that everybody else can give their children fancy bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs at the real Jews, constitutional Jews' expense. So that when we do this exercise, we don't remember the fancy parties. But sometimes a lot of materialism makes you not appreciate the little things. So sometimes it's the little things, even without the materialism. Because if you're used to materialism, when you get a CD or album or a record or you get a gift, a lot of times them gifts are not significant to you because you have so much wealth already. I mean, for instance, if you have a lot of wealth, then you getting a brand new CD or a brand new coat or, a brand new pair of earrings. It's not going to mean much to you because you get them all the time. But for American blacks, them things may have been significant. And the reason why the age of 12 and 13 is so significant because your serotonin levels and your neurotransmitters are the most active. And it seals in a lot of that stuff for life. And it really lays down the foundation. That's why it's part of laying down the foundation of your life and trying to bring towards direction where you want to go. And that's why ancient Jews did a ceremonial service, because this was a turning point where your neurotransmitters was and had become very powerful and active along with your serotonin levels, which is why everything is amplified when you're a teenager. Even your hurts is amplified and your happiness is amplified. And that's why a lot of times you remember more easily. See, you remember more easily. So remember your bat mitzvah. Write it down and look at your life now, because your bat mitzvah at 12 for a girl, it shaped your life. So when you was 21, when it was the reverse of 12, where you were at 21 was shaped by what happened to you or was sequential development after what happened to you at 12. And for boys, it's 13. And for girls, it's a little earlier because theirs translates from 12 to 21. And the reason for girls early, because when girls start having babies, a lot of her elaborate plans that she had for other things she wanted to do are kind of put to the side. So hers is quicker. Hers have to kind of show something at 21, where a young male who's 13 and having his bar mitzvah, and he understands what girl he liked at 13, what girl he liked, what song he liked, what kind of woman he wanted, what was his dance, what was his favorite clothing line, what music he liked, whether he liked to draw, paint, art, or whether he liked to play in a band, or whether he liked to, travel or go camping, or whether he liked to spend time with his father, or whether him and his father didn't have a relationship, or whether him and his uncles or no man was there for him at 13 doing his bar mitzvah, where he didn't see a man nowhere around, only women around, and the women was a primary part of his raising. Well, this is his bar mitzvah, and at 13 he comes to the realization that it's normal to show him the way. So his bar mitzvah is going to be realizing that he has to come to manhood pretty much on his own, with the women supporting him. Now, if he has women supporting them that are church and biblically oriented, he can be raised part by the spirituality of understanding that he has a higher father, King Yeshua and God Almighty, and therefore that empty space won't be as empty of this missing, very vital missing part of his development. Because remember, these are serotonin and neurotrons, so it has to be handled very carefully with a male that's missing that male role model. And males, you can look back and you can ask yourself, was you missing male role model at 13? Was there an uncle you can turn to? Was there an older brother you can turn to? What did they help you with your development? Was there a grandfather you had? And if they was there a positive influence, or did you see them abusing someone? See, all these things you have to look at and you have to write down, because this is your bar mitzvah, whether good or bad. This is ingrained in your mind forever, whether good or bad. And if you could take it to this point, you can pretty much deal with whatever is going on with your life now by tracking back to your bar mitzvah and seeing how it shaped your development of how you think now. For instance, a lot of black males who hate women were raised by women, and they turned on them because they blamed the one that was there for the one that was not there, meaning the male for their development. They wanted somehow that woman to make it right. Now, she tried to do whatever she could, but she couldn't carry on this empty space that this male was missing. And so he still is 13. He still is 13 at 40, blaming his mother and hating black women because he don't have enough now to face the manhood within himself because he had no man to face at 13 to identify himself with. So we need to remember our bat and bar mitzvahs, and we need to concentrate on them for a while because we need to do a little bit of therapy on ourselves sometimes. We can't look for outsiders because outsiders don't understand the true intricacies of our life, even if we tell them they're not in our shoes, so they can't really walk the walk. They can talk, but they can't walk the walk. Only you can walk back through the corridors of your development. And it's important that you do that to prepare for the millennium kingdom and for you to forgive whatever happened, or for you to joy in your development of where you are now, or for you to have some pain and some happiness. It's okay to integrate both. It don't have to be all or one, because we usually have joy mixed with pain. That's part of life. That's part of the life balance of revolution, joy and pain. So it doesn't have to be all one thing, but it has to be, and it has to be looked at, because this is our Judaic Hebrew tradition that the world has stolen as they stole our wealth and has left us without nothing. But God Almighty always leaves us with something, because he don't base his bat and bar mitzvah on materialism. Rather, he base it on the blood, his God particle in you. And that God particle in you remembers the 13 and 12-year-old, and that God particle in you can go from there and begin to heal whatever was there. And to also encourage you, if you know 12 or 13-year-olds in your life or in your family, to try to make it memorable for them. You know, while people are throwing million and multi-million fancy parties for their sons and daughters who are not even Jews, or they say they are converts. A convert means you're not a Jew by birth. But they throwing elaborate parties because they done stole all our real Judah wealth, which we have the contract on called the Constitution. That's why if you don't understand that Constitution, but you have all the so-called other knowledge in the world, you're still pretty blind. This is Mary Omni from the House of King David. Shalom.